Good morning, everybody, and those people who are really alert will have recognised that for today's assembly, I'm not in my usual spot. So I wonder if you can guess where I am today. Have a little look at the background and the colour of the blinds. Well, today, for our assembly on safety, I am in Mrs. Jennings's office. And today we are going, with the help of Year 6 pupils, to interview Mrs. Jennings and find out all about what her job is and how she helps to keep us safe in school. So she's just here as Mrs. Jennings. I'm going to move over for the sake of social distancing. And then I've got a whole host of questions, Mrs. Jennings. I hope you're ready.
I'm ready.
Excellent. That the children in Year 6 have written to ask you about your role in school. So we're going to do a quick change around. I'll move up. You have a little sit down.
Hello, everybody. Hi there.
Right, are you ready?
I am.
Okie dokie. So, Mrs. Jennings, could you start off by just explaining to us all what your job is here at Northowram Primary School?
Well, Mrs. Scatterfield, I've got lots of jobs. However, my main job is keeping everybody safe in our school. So that might mean keeping people safe at home sometimes and keeping them safe whilst they're at school as well.
Fantastic. So I'm going to ask you some of these questions.
Okay.
Some of them are quite hard. Mm-hmm. Harder than maybe interview questions, actually. So hope you're ready. Here we go. So, how long have you worked at Northowram Primary School? A nice easy one to start with.
Sometimes when people ask me that question, Mrs. Scatterfield, I say I've worked here 100 years, but of course I haven't worked here 100 years. I have worked here for 24 years, I think. 24 years.
Fantastic. And before you had this job with us looking after our safety and our medical needs, did you have a different job in our school?
I did. I first came to our school and worked in nursery. I had a little baby boy then. I didn't have a little baby boy then. Before my little baby boy was born, I worked in nursery, and then when he was born, I stayed at home for a while to look after him, then came back and worked in reception, and then I went back to nursery.
Fantastic. And here's a question going back a little bit further in time, Mrs. Jennings. I haven't told you who asked you that question, actually. The question about how long you've worked here, that came from Liam, which was a really good one.
Okay.
And the next question comes from Emily in Year 6. This is a great one. Mrs. Jennings, what did you dream of doing job-wise when you were younger?
Well, I know that really sure I wanted to be a police lady. We called them that in the old days. But when I think I was 17, and you had to sit an exam, and I did an exam, but you had to be a certain height then, and you had to be 5'6", and I'm not 5'6". I'm 5 foot, nearly 5, and so I passed the exam, but I didn't get into the police. But what a good job I didn't, because that would have meant that I wouldn't be at Northowram School with all our lovely people.
Great answer, Mrs. Jennings. Okay, here's one about medical needs, and Reggie wants to know, because we know that you look after children who've maybe had trips and bumps and things at school. Imagine this scenario, Mrs. Jennings. A child has broken their arm.
Okay.
Could you tell us the first 5 things that you would do?
First thing, reassure them everything's going to be all right. Okay. Second thing, if I'm by myself with that child, I would shout for help, get some help, because I might need somebody to go and ring an ambulance or bring the first aid kit or whatever. Third thing, I would probably, depends how painful it is, try and sit them down, because sometimes when we've broken an arm or a leg, we don't feel very well, so we need to sometimes just sit down. Fourth thing, depending on how bad it is, might be phoning an ambulance. Quite a long time ago, we once had a boy who had quite a nasty injury to his elbow, and I didn't want to move him. It wasn't my job to move him. I wanted a paramedic to move him. And then fifth job, maybe put a sling on, depending on the pain. I'd be phoning mummies and daddies to say, come to school, because your little so-and-so's had an accident.
And one thing you might not know about Mrs. Jennings is that you do have, or you certainly have had in the past, you do some work for the ambulance service, don't you?
Yes, I do. It's called a first responder. So what first responders do, if in our village, if someone rings 999 first responders can go to some of those jobs. So heart attack, because in the back of my car sometimes there is a defibrillator. If you don't know what that is, you'll have seen it probably on the TV. It can help to restart the rhythm of somebody's heart. Also in the car is oxygen and bandages and that kind of thing. So my role is to go to that person until the paramedics come. Now, just at the moment, I'm not doing it, Mrs. Scarterfield, because I had an operation on my foot, so I couldn't do it for a while. And just at the moment, because of COVID, they're not doing any retraining. When the retraining starts, I'd like to start to do that again.
Fantastic. So you do have quite a varied job. So Raymond wanted to know, what are those different parts that you do to help? So we've talked about looking after children who've maybe had bumps or an accident at school. What else do you do in school to help us?
Well, sometimes, depending on how my day is, I'm outside with you for a while, Mrs. Scarterfield. I love being outside, seeing all the children in the morning. How are you feeling today? And sometimes I can, if children don't look like they're really happy, I might go and find them a bit later in class and say, is everything okay? When I've been outside and said good morning to everybody and made sure that that's all safe, sometimes I come inside. If there's time, I might just have a quick flick down the registers. That's sometimes a job that I do, because Mrs. Coy in the office does that. But I just want to see who's in school, who's not in school, if someone's ill. At the moment, I want to see, has anyone had a COVID test? Whatever. Let me think what else I do. Sometimes I meet with other people who don't work in our school, some other grown-ups who don't work at our school. Sometimes we work together with different families to help keep them safe as well.
Gosh, that's a lot of different parts to your job. I think that also answers Valentina and Scarlett's very grown-up question, which was, what's your day-to-day schedule like at work? But thank you, you've given us some idea about what that's like.
Very varied, Mrs. Scarterfield. Very varied.
Oh, I could go on and on. The children had so many questions.
Did they?
If I ever do have to do any more interviews for any staff in our school, I know where to go to get some help with that. But I'm going to ask you one last question, which is really important. What do you love about Northowram Primary School?
I love lots of things about Northowram Primary School. The main thing I absolutely love, and the main thing I get out of bed for in the morning, is to come and see all our lovely children. I'm sure that's your reason for getting out of bed as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. It's the same. It's the same.
But then working with families as well, working with the mums and the dads and all the staff at Northowram School as well. Lovely place to work.
Fantastic. Well, from me and the children, Mrs. Jennings, thanks for being interviewed today.
Thank you for interviewing me, and thanks for those amazing questions. I think Mrs. Scarterfield's right. If we're ever interviewing for a new member of staff, we need to ask the children, don't we?
We definitely
Some
do.
great questions.
We definitely do. I'll just come and say bye, if you'll just give me... Thank you. One other question that we didn't ask, actually, just before we finish, Mrs. Jennings, is normally, in normal times when it's not COVID, children, you would also do a lot of this. You'd get a knock on your door and there might be children who had come to see you, to share maybe that they were feeling worried or unsafe about something. And I was just wondering, how would children get to see you now? Would they need to ask their teacher to see you now that they can't just bring themselves through the corridors at the moment?
Yes, they could ask the teacher. If I suppose if they thought, I'm not really sure about asking the teacher because all the other children are here, try and get the teacher by themselves. You could write a little note as well. That might be a good idea, mightn't it? See people in the playground in the morning. You could say, can I have a little word with you today?
Fantastic.
You could try and find a way, couldn't you?
And if I know that these assemblies are now on the YouTube channel, so if any mums and dads are watching them at home, I've given all of the mums and dads the details of how to contact Mrs. Jennings if you're ever worried about well-being or safety or anything that's around those aspects of school life. So Mrs. Jennings helps to keep us safe in school, and tomorrow's interview, I think I might ask him the same questions, is going to be Mr. Wood.
Oh, wow, Mr. Wood.
I know. So have a lovely day, everybody. I think it's Wednesday for you, and I will see you very soon. Bye for now.